Of course, what you've got to remember, Jenny, is that in 1981, William Woolard was describing pretty advanced technology. Well, for people at the time, it might have sounded like science fiction.
When this was invented just over 100 years ago, it was thought to be so revolutionary that even the head of the post office thought it would never catch on. Of course, he was wrong, and now we only notice when there isn't one of these around. You take it absolutely for granted. You can pick up the handset, dial a few numbers, and eventually have a conversation with someone in any town or city, just about anywhere in the world, from Tokyo to Timbuktu. And every day, the telephone system is extending its net across the face of the globe. And then there's this device, which has been through exactly the same progression in less than half the time. 40 years ago, it was thought to be miraculous to have vague figures moving, flickering across the small screen. Now, it's just a piece of furniture in the corner of a room. And now we're going through the beginning of yet a third revolution that's linking together these two pieces of equipment and transforming them into a marvellously versatile way of finding out about all sorts of exciting and interesting pieces of information without ever having to leave your armchair. Let me see if I can show you what I mean. Now, this keypad has actually replaced the telephone, although it works in exactly the same way. When you press these buttons, it sends a signal down the telephone line to a public computer. That's the telephone number of the computer, and the telephone will dial it and see if it can get us a line to it. If it does so, it transforms our television set into a computer terminal, which means it's really a screen on which you can read all the information the computer has to offer. OK, it says press that square to go to the next stage. And first of all, we get an index of the kinds of information the computer has to offer. Well, let's take one, general information. And we get a second list of the subjects under that heading: news and weather, sports and hobbies, entertainment, government information. Let's take 9 books and references, because, of course, we're all interested in learning, aren't we? OK, number 9. And there you get a list of encyclopedias and reference books you could wander happily through all day. Now, at the moment, most of the information in these libraries is what you might call useful information. It tells you, for example, what train timetables there are. If you happen to be travelling by train, it will tell you what's on at the local cinema, or plays, or pop festivals, or sports events, and so on. There are even pages here for children. 24008 should, I'm told, bring us to a page on pets. There we are, a page, the beginning of a whole series of information on how to look after your dog. And you can, if you want, with this computer, even share a joke. And it happens to be a joke sent in by one Manish Patel, aged 9. And his joke is, what do ghosts eat for breakfast? And the answer is shredded wheat. You can even buy things off this television set, because you can key in here the catalogue of items you're interested in. You can then key in the number of the item you want to buy, plus your credit card number, or perhaps I should say your dad's credit card number. And if you're lucky, within a week or so, it'll arrive on your doorstep and you'll be charged automatically. And that really is just the beginning, because certainly before you leave school, I would have thought you'll have access to libraries of information on anything from history to bird watching. You'll be able to buy anything you care to think of through the little box in the corner. And then there's this very specialised kind of computer that's rapidly going into offices and universities all over the world. Its specialisation is words, and so it's often called a word processor. And it's really the beginning of electronic mail. That is, sending your letters down the telephone line instead of writing them out on paper and having the post office collect them, sort them, carry them to where they have to go, and delivering them. In this system, you simply type out your letter on the screen in front of you. As you can see, this is a rather formal letter sending a series of figures to an office in New York. So you made a mistake, and it should have been Hawaii. You don't have to start all over again. You simply tell the computer to read the letter, and whenever it finds New York, to change it to Hawaii. And off it goes, reading the letter through and carrying out its task. And it's clever enough, this computer, to do paragraphing and proper spacing. It makes the letter look very pretty. It can even correct spelling mistakes if you happen to make a few. Once it's ready, press a button, off it goes down the telephone line to its destination, and at the same time another copy goes into your electronic file. At its destination, it stays in the computer until someone comes into the office, presses a button to get it printed out on paper or displayed on the screen. It also saves a lot of space, because electronic filing systems, and this is a very small, and as you can see, very slender electronic disk, are very much more compact than filing cabinets. And if you've got a memo or a letter stored in there, you can find it in microseconds instead of rummaging through a whole row of filing cabinets. And that really is what it's all about, information, the rapid handling of information. These days, banks, businesses, offices, even schools are every day inundated with a whole avalanche of information, and their success depends upon handling it rapidly. Indeed, if I had to nominate the most significant development, perhaps, over the last 10 years, it would be that computers have got smaller and smaller and more powerful and cheaper. So much so, in fact, that nowadays computing power is within everybody's reach. This is a typical home computer, costs about the same as a colour television set, has enough computing power to do the family accounts, help you with your homework, keep your study notes, to help Mum, if you like, with her cooking recipes. Got a lovely recipe in here for chocolate pudding. Could even help Dad, if necessary, with his car maintenance, storing up some of the details there, and when it's done its work in the evening, it can play a game of chess with you. And I would have thought with the next 10 years or so, one of these in the corner would be just about as familiar as that old-fashioned colour television set.